How cool is that? I bought something that I really don't need again. Hi everyone, it's Tash and welcome to another Wednesday recipe video. And today we are making Matcha Crunky chocolate bars. Holographic Matcha chocolate crunky bars. Timestamps are down below in the description if you want to skip the initial blah blah, but stick around if you want to hear a little bit about what we're making first. I need to be banned from AliExpress because I find so much random stuff like this. It's a holographic chocolate bar mould. Came in a pack of 2, there's also one with a block shape on which I'm pretty sure I'm going to be using for this recipe. You can use any old mould for this recipe, it doesn't have to be a holographic one. But since I wasted £5 on these, why not? It was a Christmas present to myself. And I have been wanting some proper sized chocolate bar mould, so 2 in 1. I've absolutely loved those chocolate bars with Rice Krispies since childhood. I think it's Nestle, they do a crunchy bar. Of course the chocolate over time became awful, so it stopped becoming tasty, so I stopped buying it. Also expensive as well. And then later on in life I discovered the Japanese version by the company Lotte. Crunky bars. Infinitely better chocolate, even the little rice things inside taste better. And better than that, they come in different flavours, including my personal favourite, matcha. We used to be able to get them in Japanese shops in London. Can no longer find them, so I'm going to make some. As for this thing, the holographic shininess isn't actually created by any sort of paint or whatever, so don't worry about that getting into your food. It's actually a texture, a really fine, almost microscopic textured pattern that's been scored in. Almost like the back of a CD is that same kind of holographic shiny because of those little etchings on them. And then of course anything you put in there like melted chocolate that then sets, it will set into the tiny little grooves, and when you peel it back, the chocolate will then have the same texture, which will then let the light bounce off it like a hologram. Isn't that interesting? So with all that said, let's go to the kitchen and see how it's done. We're going to start by toasting some puffed rice cereal, so Rice Krispies, but in my case off-brand because Kellogg's is expensive. I've just put these on the medium heat and the pan is completely dry, we're not adding any oil, and we're just going to toss these around for a couple of minutes until they're golden brown, not too long. If you find that you can't help crushing your little rice pots, because remember they are fragile, then you can also instead give the pan a jiggle every so often and do it frequently, and that will make sure you don't crush any of your rice pops. And as soon as they go really light golden brown, we don't want to get any more toasted, we want to take it off the heat. I'm going to pop this on a plate. And we're going to let this cool down completely. I lost the rice. Now we need to make our matcha chocolate. Here I have 100 grams of white chocolate and we're going to be needing 200 grams in total, so this is half of it. And I'm going to add 1 tablespoonful of matcha. A generous tablespoonful. Now we need to temper the chocolate. I have a whole video of how to do it without any fancy equipment and without a microwave, because I don't have one. It's super easy. All you have to do is half melt this amount of chocolate, take it off the heat and keep stirring until that's melted, and then you need to gradually add in the rest of our chocolate, which is also known as the seeding method. And that basically gets the cocoa butter crystals to reform really nicely so that when it sets, it'll be nice and solid. Because if you don't temper your chocolate, it will just set all floppy and weird. And yes, I have a whole video of how to do that and why you need to do that. I will link it now. Oh, and also you need to make sure that the water doesn't touch the base of your heat-proof bowl and it's just simmering, because we don't want to heat up the chocolate too much so that it burns. So nice gentle heat, make sure the bowl bottom doesn't touch the water. Now I consider this half melted, so instantly I want to take it off the heat and we'll continue over there. Now in the short amount of time that I move the bowl over to this work surface, it's already nearly fully melted because the bowl is now hot, and so is the chocolate, so it will keep melting. So stir until all of that's melted, and then we'll start adding the rest. I'm actually going to transfer to using the spatula for this next bit because it's easier to scrape down the chocolate. And you really want to scrape and stir, because if you don't keep stirring while you're tempering chocolate, then the cocoa butter will end up a bit streaky, and you will see that in your final chocolate bar. So we don't want streaky chocolate. And now we're going to gradually add in the rest of our white chocolate. At first, you can be quite gung-ho with it because we know the bowl is touch warm, so you can actually tell that it's warm. So I'm going to go in and add a large amount. This will both melt the remaining chocolate and rapidly cool the chocolate down and bring it to that perfect temper temperature. And then at this stage, I just drop the chocolate in one by one until it doesn't melt anymore. And when the new chocolate that you introduced stops melting, then we know our chocolate is tempered. So that did only just melt. Let's add another one. That one also completely melted, also very slowly. Let's add another one. Aha, now these literally will not melt anymore, so I'm going to fish them out because we don't want random chunks of white chocolate in our matcha chocolate. I'm going to scrape as much of that matcha chocolate off as possible. I'm just going to pop these straight back on here because I will actually eat them later. Perfect, so this is our tempered matcha chocolate. I'm going to set this aside. We did in the end use just under 200 grams. And now we're going to dump our rice pops straight in and give this a gentle stir. And now let's bring over our holographic moulds. I've got two different kinds here actually. I've got this blocky kind and this big bars kind. I'm going to use the blocky kind since actual Crunky bars have the blocks. I may not need to use all of them. Let's see. We're just going to divide this up. I'm going to use a spoon because it'll be easier. I'm going to give this a good tap on the counter just to fill out any air bubbles and spaces. See where I can pop a little bit more on. Making a rather lot of noise, I'm going to do that. There we go. That's it. I just want to show you. Look at the spoon. Because it's metal, the spoon is naturally cold and you can see the chocolate is already setting on it and I've just been leaving it out on the side. So that is well tempered chocolate. So now I'm going to put this in the fridge to set properly for about 10 to 15 minutes, maybe a little bit more, we'll see. It is the moment of truth. Let's pop one out. And take a look. Wait, oh no, I can see it, hang on. Let me take the rest out and show you because the condensation from the fridge is blurring it a bit, you'll see in a minute. Now I'm holding in my hands my little photography light and you can actually see the holographicness. I was really hoping to make this recipe on a sunny day. Of course today is absolutely grey, almost black clouds all day, typical, because holographic stuff does show up better in daylight. Let's take another look at our moulds. Obviously this is a light coloured chocolate as well, so obviously it's a bit more of a subtle effect. If it were milk or dark chocolate it would show up a lot more, but that is still really cool. That is so fun, even if it doesn't stand out as much on a paler chocolate background and because we have no sun today, but that's still super pretty. And like I said at the beginning, you don't need a holographic chocolate mould, any chocolate mould will do. Let's snap one of these. Get a small chunk. I am risking it wearing white today. Now remember, once you get your mitts on it, try not to touch the top because that will melt off the pattern and you won't be able to see it anymore. But if you're just about to eat it, it doesn't matter because it's going in your stomach anyway. Cheers. That is so good. Toasting the rice, the best move ever. Now I don't have to wait until my next trip to Japan, however long that may be, to eat Matcha Crunky. I would say though, To make an authentic Crunky bar, it does need to be thinner. I use quite a thick mould. If you want to make a more true to life one, then find a thinner mould or just spread it more thinly in your thick mould. I quite like it chunky actually. So there you go, a holographic homemade Matcha Crunky bar. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's recipe video and I hope you will join me next Wednesday for my next one. Get the full written recipe on my blog tashcakes.com. Follow me on Instagram, I'm tashcakes.taste. And find me on TikTok too, I'm tashcakes there too, but my handle is food in slow motion. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more. Give this video a like if you liked it to help other people find it. Comment down below if you'd like me to make anything in particular, and I'll see you all next time. Be good, be nice, and have a good week. Ooh, my posture's appalling in these videos.